Hey, what's going on YouTube? It is GeneralTarheel, your coach of the Charlotte Charmanders, bringing you the APA Little Cup Season 4, Week 1 battle versus Coach Emvee and the San Diego Chimchargers. Now you're probably wondering why I'm wearing all this mess right now. It's because literally after I record this, I am going to the beach. So I want to get this done. I don't know your guys' reaction to whether or not I wanted a team builder. I actually am kind of interested in doing them, but I'm not going to be doing one for now because, as you can see, I am rushed. So I'm just trying to get this recorded because I'm getting back like the day this is going up. So I want to make sure I get this all set so I can enjoy my vacation and not have to worry about any of this stuff. Yeah, basically, I just want to make sure I have a good time and everything. So I'm trying to get this done, and quickly, battle versus Emvee. This was fun. I'm not gonna lie, Little Cup is amazing. I'm gonna go over the Pokemon I brought and of course the 6 that you saw him bring. But going up against the guy that sniped me 4 times in the draft, this is definitely gonna be interesting. Also, it's just Emvee. It's Lord Emvee. Lord Emvee. So definitely gonna be dangerous. Not gonna lie. I was scared going into this. Not gonna lie. Like having Emvee like week 1 out of the gate kind of sucks. But you know, it's also good to go ahead and get that because there's a lot of strong coaches in this roster, so being like prepared for it and stuff like that, but not being too familiar for Little Cup yet, I guess it's kind of better getting this out of the way so I'm not risking like a potentially easier match to you know, not go my way or something like that. So I'm gonna quickly go over the team that I brought. As you see, I got Pawniard, Archon, Charmander, Slowpoke, Lickitung, and Rowlet. Of course, for Pawniard, we have Omega. I brought a just basically offensive set. I have Life Orb, Adamant with Stealth Rock, Knockoff, Sucker Punch, and Iron Head. Stealth Rock is just a little bit helpful versus his team, even though he has an amazing spinner and Staryu. Also, I just didn't really feel like I needed another move for Pawniard right there. Adamant, Life Orb, Knockoff just is ridiculous damage, and it does a lot versus his team. His best check probably switching this is a defensive Ponyta with Eviolite just to eat it up, and then he threatens me out right afterwards. There's really not much on his team that can take Pawniard necessarily, unless he properly predicts with like Krogunk on a Dark type move, and then I'm really threatened out and stuff like that. So it's just small things like that, but Pawniard really just puts in a decent amount of work to where hopefully other Pokemon team can be proper pivots to checks to Pawniard, as well as clean up after Pawniard just does a lot of damage to the rest of the team, because basically if he does get hit off for something, it's just about one shot right after if it's not knocked out. So next up, I have my Archon. My Archon was a little bit interesting, I'm not gonna lie. I had an offensive, of course, with Adamant, with Berry Juice. I had U-Turn, Agility, Acrobatics, Earthquake. My thought process behind this was get Chip off of Staryu with U-Turn, and then have it come in on like rocks one more time, and then after that, after I get rid of my Berry Juice, Acrobatics will kill the Staryu even if it is defensive, because Agility, Acrobatics, Earthquake just sweeps his team. Really, I mean, there might be a few checks to it, really, but not much necessarily. I believe Scarf Voltorb outsped the set that I brought, but I wasn't really too worried about that necessarily. The main thing behind this Archon is that I had just enough bulk to eat a Scald from a defensive Staryu with no special attack investment. If he was offensive Staryu, I was going to take a Scald, and then Archon would just be done with. So I could set up on Archon. I think I took 1 Wild Charge from a Ponyta, not if it was completely offensive, but I was expecting kind of a bulkier one this time around. Either way, I get my Berry Juice on a few things, and then Acrobatics just gets the 110 damage boost as well as the stab with Archon's amazing base 112 attack, and then of course the speed just allows me to outspeed everything, and I really just sweep his team. That's what I was kind of hoping for this match. I knew it was going to be hard to pull off because even though I do have the Berry Juice on Archon, it's just so frail, and I have to keep it above the 50% because of Defeatist ability, so it's not like I could have ran a Focus Sash set to make it 1,000,000% work for Acrobatics, because then I'm losing half my attack. So Archon's win-lose kind of Pokemon. You have to be very careful with it and stuff like that, with I'm noticing with this. Scarf was also a potential set I was thinking of, but I wanted to see if I could pull this off, because I felt like too basic of sets weren't going to work so well versus Emvee. I'm trying to bring some heat here, and I felt like this Archon set was definitely going to do it. Apart from that, I have my Charmander. My Charmander, as I looked at his team, I'm like, this thing blows, and this one I was thinking of like not blows. Like, it sucks, but like it blows his team back. There we go. I was thinking of like a Z Sunny's Day Charmander, like especially offensive, to just sweep his team. Charmander doesn't get Solar Beam. That's when I figured that out in that draft analysis. Now you know what I'm talking about. He doesn't get Solar Beam. So I'm bringing a Dragon Dance Charmander instead. With Thunder Punch, Electro MZ, and then Flare Blitz and Rock Slide. If he's a defensive Staryu, I have a chance to kill after Stealth Rocks just with Thunder Punch. That's why I have the Electro MZ. If he's offensive, then just a Thunder Punch +1 will be able to knock it out. Flare Blitz, of course, just for my strong stab, and then Rock Slide helps me for the Ponyta, because I thought, you know, I could just whittle down the Ponyta just a little bit, but Ponyta does have the high horsepower coverage in order to hit my Charmander, so I do have to watch out for that. A few things Charmander can set up on, not too much necessarily. Ponyta a little bit, depending if it's a defensive set, it probably might not carry high horsepower. It might have the toxic coverage for Slowpoke, because it needs Morning Sun, Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, and then 4th move. Also, in a lot of my mocks, I faced Scarf Amoras that Emvee had, so I felt like it'd be nice to potentially set up with that with Charmander. I'm taking a little bit too long in this team builder, so I'm going to be quicker about it. Next up, I have my Slowpoke with Eviolite, of course. More so a Spadef Slowpoke, but of course some defensive investment. I have Psychic Scald, Slack Off, and Thunder Wave. This just be really the Bulkmon that kind of holds the team together. He does have amazing coverage for his team for it. Like, the main things I'm trying to attack are like Staryu, Ponyta, stuff like that. And of course, they both have electric coverage and Thunderbolt and Wild Charge. So it's really unfortunate there, but Slowpoke still is very bulky for the rest of the team. Really, really helps me out versus Krogunk. I have to be careful of Krogunk. Krogunk is an amazing sweeper versus my team, 1,000,000%. So that's one reason I have to bring Slowpoke. I'm just letting you know I'm going to call it Slowbro just about the entire season. Next up is my Lickitung, also with the Eviolite. Protect, Earthquake, Knockoff, Wish. Max Spadef, just be the check for Staryu, just in case it is offensive. I do switch into Analytic, offensive Staryu, surprisingly. But it's still just a major threat versus my team and stuff like that. Also, this is a good middle ground to switch into potential electric type predictions on his part. Like if his Ponyta tried to go for Wild Charge on the obvious Slowpoke switch in, I can go Lickitung. Lickitung still eats it up even though I have no defense investment. I just have HP Spadef with a little bit of attack. But still, Lickitung just walls the team. And I have to have Earthquake just to stop Krogunk from potentially setting up in front of my face. Just small things like that. And lastly, Rowlet is one Pokemon I was really hyped about for this game because it actually does a lot of work. I have a Scarfed Rowlet with Leaf Blade, Brave Bird, just both stabs, and then Baton Pass and Defog. Defog is because hazards, if he does bring them, will be a little bit annoying. But other than that, my stabs are really all I need. Scarf Rowlet really gives me a check to both an offensive Ponyta once after Stealth Rocks. Brave Bird will one-shot it 1,000,000%. Offensive Staryu, Leaf Blade, of course, as well as just a defensive Staryu. Staryu's base speed is just allowing it to outspeed majority of my team and being a very, very strong pain. Also, Rowlet gives me a check to Taillow, which is a just an amazing Pokemon. That thing is a wall breaker. Absolutely ridiculous for it being mixed, just similar to Swellow and stuff like that. So being able to have a check to that is really important because a max attack Jolly Rowlet Brave Bird does one-shot Taillow because Taillow is not bulky at all. So that's important to have Rowlet on this team. Also, just Baton Pass Pivot could be a little bit helpful, especially if I have Stealth Rocks on his side of the field and he doesn't have anything on my side, because he does have Pokemon like that Ponyta, like the Taillow, stuff like that, to where I can get a lot of decent chip off versus his team, ideally. So apart from that, going into this battle, I did quite a few mocks, and I felt like I was ready for the battle. I knew Emvee was going to be a tough opponent nonetheless, and personally, I think his team is the best roster out of all the coaches. That is my personal opinion, mainly because he sniped me at 4 Pokemon. 3 of the Pokemon you see on the screen in Krogunk, Chespin, and Voltorb. I wanted all those boys. And then he also took Bidoof, because Bidoof was a steal for D tier in my opinion, because of its like amazing coverage and stuff. But nonetheless, as you see, Emvee brought Voltorb, Krogunk, Staryu, Ponyta, Chespin, and Taillow. I guessed 5 out of the 6 here. The only one I was expecting otherwise was going to be Amora over Voltorb. Voltorb wasn't brought against me versus any of my mocks, and so I felt like this was going to be an issue because I don't have a ground type. I didn't bring Cubone. The only exception, Cubone, I could have brought Cubone like over Charmander if I felt like I wasn't going to be really able to get set up versus his team. But like 2 out of the 3 out of my mocks, Charmander was able to get a Dragon Dance off and put a little bit of damage versus my opponent. So I felt like I still wouldn't be able to do work with Charmander, so that's definitely why I wanted to bring it. Apart from that, I was kind of ready for his team still. I was expecting, of course, to set up Krogunk with Z-Move, defensive Staryu, it's either going to be defensive or offensive Ponyta. I was kind of expecting a more of a defensive route because Staryu and Ponyta, they can just run Eviolite and they have amazing speed, and the Eviolite gives them pretty decent bulk, and they have reliable recovery and Morning Sun, to where they can really just wall my team. So that's what I was kind of expecting from Emvee. Chespin, I versed 2 bulk up sets, so I was expecting that 1,000,000%. Otherwise, it could just be a potential spiker. It doesn't really work too well versus my team defensively necessarily because of Arch and Charmander, and then Pawniard just does so much damage to everything. Lastly, Tailo, of course, I'm expecting mixed offensive. So going in this match, I was pretty threatened by the team, but of course, that's because I already knew these mounts were definitely coming. Voltorb, I knew was going to be an amazing pivot for him, and it wasn't going to hurt him at all if you want to lead off with it, stuff like that. So going into this match, I just wanted to lead Pawniard, potentially get up Stealth Rocks immediately, kind of pressure that Staryu out, try to get a lot of damage off of my Rowlet because it forces us to switch out if he doesn't, you know, properly predict it. So, challenged by Pokemon Trainer Emvee. I know this part where he says, it's my first mistake challenging him, but he challenged me in this replay, so watch out. And there's the Voltorb I wish I had on my team as he leads it off with it like I predicted. Right here I wanted to scout for the Hidden Power Fighting because I knew this thing was going to either have HP Ice for both my Cubone and my Rowlet, or Hidden Power Fighting just to catch off the Pawniard and just one-shot it. Because Sucker Punch was a roll in this Voltorb, so I didn't want to risk that immediately, especially if he was potentially, oh no, that doesn't matter, potentially like Sash Lead or something like that. So I wanted to switch into my Lickitung, and 1,000,000%, I knew this Chespin could have been Bulk Up or just Spike, so I wanted to go right into my Charmander. Charmander stops either of those. He could get one thing as Spikes Up, but he is a Bulk Up set, so I am ready to deal with that, need be. But I do get a little lucky here as I go for the Flare Blitz with my Charmander. It's so adorable, yet so threatening. I do get the Chespin down to yellow, but he does get burned. And then I take my recoil. The burn's really unfortunate because, as you see, he is a Berry Juice Chessman. One of the 2 Chessman sets I faced, one was Berry Juice, the other one was Eviolite. So, unfortunately, that does suck for him because, as you see, the Rock Slide would have knocked out my Charmander if he wasn't burned. And then he would have had a really healthy Chespin that would have done a decent amount of work versus my team. I'm pretty sure my Rowlet still one-shot it after this, but because he wasn't Eviolite or anything like that. Right here was a bad play on my part where I Dragon Danced again because he could have just killed me, and then Chespin would have just been that healthy and it would have been still dangerous to my team. I should have gotten off as much damage as possible, but I don't want to risk him just going for like a Synthesis after. But as you can see, I still managed to forget that my Charmander was in Blaze, so I managed to one-shot the Chespin, so the Dragon Dance didn't matter at all considering he bulked up that turn, so my attack boost just negated his defense boost and we're basically equal still. So that was a really risky part on my play, just going for the Dragon Dance versus the Chespin. I do think that was a misplay for this match so far. Right here I'm going to go to my Rowlet since it is Scarfed. I feel like this kind of gives it away at the same time, but well, let me take these Pokemon off the thing. But it does kind of give it away. I went for the Baton Pass here, scouting for the HP Ice, considering he didn't go for the Hidden Power Fighting first turn. And as it comes out here, he does prove that he has the HP Ice. My Pawniard takes it pretty well. I want to go into this for potentially offensive presence because I didn't know if he was Scarf or not. But as he goes for Thunderbolt here, I know he is not. I stayed in because I lived anything unless he was Magnet, which I was kind of willing to take. He was Focus Sash though, however. So he lives on 1 health, and then my Pawniard, of course, did live on 1 from the Thunderbolt, but gets knocked out to my Life Orb Recoil. So that's 2 of my Mons down to Recoil so far. And I'm just going to go right back into Rowlet here. And I'm just clicking Brave Bird because I ideally just 2-shot everything. But as I go for the Brave Bird here, he will switch into Ponyta. And as we see, this Ponyta is holding Eviolite and is just max defensive because that doesn't do as much as I expected. Which is really unfortunate. And this thing's just going to be able here in Morning Sun and outstall my Rowlet. So really worried about that. But as you see, he does just go for the Morning Sun like I predicted. Lickitung I just felt like was the most safe play here in case he did go for a Wild Charge. I didn't want to switch into Archon. Even then, I felt like my Archon wasn't necessarily... Actually, I probably should just set up with my Archon. But if it was defensive Staryu, I didn't have enough chip on it yet to where I could have knocked it out. So that was my reasoning behind it. So I was in with Lickitung right here, and I just want to go for EQ at its Ponyta. It gets everything on switching except Halo, which I don't really think he would switch in necessarily. And he does go into Krogunk, and I really like the name there, Bestie Frog, because of his Defogger and Empoleon, if you guys remember. But he goes for a knockoff on my Protect, so I was like, okay, that's fine. I just really wanted to see what he could potentially went for. But now he busts out the Zevu and bursts my Lickitung, and this is where I really regret kind of protecting. I mean, I would have lost my Eviolite to the knockoff, but I still would have had Lickitung healthy, because after this Acid Downpour, which I'm assuming is Sludge Bomb, I was expecting a special set this time, I believe. I don't remember. Brings me down to 9 HP, and then that really just makes Lickitung one shot by anything left on his team, except for potentially Voltorb, I believe. But I knew 1,000,000% after this he was just going to go into his Tailo. There was no reason for him not to go into it, because I don't want to switch in anything to this. It potentially two-shots my Slowpoke, depending on if he was going to go for Brave Bird or Boom Burst. And he does just go for Boom Burst, so I have to unfortunately let Lickitung go down. And at this point, I just about lose to Voltorb. I really just have to try and get my stuff off, you know, with Archon. Like you see right here, I'm trying to make the play to where I get this chip on Staryu, to where I can set up my Archon with the Agility Berry Juice. It does prove to be a defensive Staryu like I expected, and this is going to be a pain to try and weaken it, especially if he's able to get up a any recover at any time. I need to keep that chip, and I need to get a high roll if he has max defense Staryu, because I don't have Stealth Rocks up on the field. I don't have any way of getting more chip on that Staryu. I need to get a very solid roll on it. But I need to click Brave Bird and just get off as much damage as I can versus his Ponyta. I wanted to try and knock me out to where my Archon just stays in here. And then my Archon comes in and then it sets up. But I decided not to do that. I wanted to go into my Slowpoke and try to just preserve it. Ideally, I shouldn't have made this play. Now that I look at it, my best chance was just trying to let Rowlet go down and then let Archon potentially set up versus the Ponyta. Now I'm kind of upset because I really didn't notice that for like during the battle and after when I watched this, so I'm kind of upset about that. But I just go for the Psychic. It hits everything on his team, and of course the Staryu just stay in here, recover everything of the sort, because it is bulky. It's just able to wall out the rest of my team, especially since it probably has the Thunderbolt coverage. I'm gonna go for the Thunder Wave because I need shenanigans in order to win this game at this point. I feel like, because it's just really dangerous at this point. He does go for the T-Bolt on my Slowpoke, like I predicted that he would have. I'm just gonna go for the Psychic versus the Staryu. We get a crit, which is very nice. I know 1,000,000% he's going for Recover this following turn, so I'm just going for Psychic potentially in case he gets paralyzed again. But as you see here, he does get the Recover off, and I just go for the Psychic. Just slowly trying to pull a shenanigan on the Staryu, but I really don't think it's going to work. And then Staryu goes for Thunderbolt as I was clicking Slack off this turn because I figured he'd get it this time. And we get parried, and then we get full parried. So shenanigans bounce backfired, but that is justice for the burn that I got versus him, because he really would have been able just to blow back my team just a little bit. If that Chessman didn't get burned, really would affect a differential. He makes an amazing play here. As soon as I saw him switch, I'm like, this man just stunted on me. It hurt. I switched into Rowlet, and of course he predicted that and he went right into Ponyta. It was fair because I had to try and keep Slowpoke healthy. But this is the point where I'm just trying to click Brave Bird with my Rowlet so I can get Archon in. And now I get a roll that's over 50% on this Ponyta. I'm like, why do I get this now when I don't want this to happen? Because I can't switch out Rowlet, I can't do any of this. Maybe I could have selected Slowpoke here on the potential Wild Charge coming again, but he just would have Morning Sunned, and then he just would have switched out again, and I don't know if I would have the chance for the Ponyta to set up again. So unfortunately, the high roll actually didn't help me, and of course, Wild Charge was his best play 1,000,000%, because it was most likely I could have switched there and stuff like that. But just at that point, man, I wasn't able to do anything. I was like, Little Cup rolls I know are very extreme, like the damage range is kind of ridiculous. That's why multi-hit moves like Rock Blast and stuff like that are pretty busted. But nonetheless, man, it was pretty unfortunate. I just wanted his Ponyta to kill me, and then my Archon come in, Ponyta just be on like a little health or anything of the sort, and then my Archon could have won because I got the Staryu decently. Actually, no, Staryu was at like 90%, so there was a chance that pretty solid chance that I wasn't winning that like at all. But it happens. I wasn't really expecting like a blowout or anything like that. I'm kind of happy with the 3-0 because Emvee is amazing. He knows the Little Cup much more than I do, as we all know, and he brought a very solid team. I really wish I faced Voltorb and a Mockman. It would have been a little bit more helpful because that thing was able just to constantly destroy my team. But I was more afraid of Amora purely because a Life Orb Modest Blizzard Amora, like in the Hail or whatever, two-shot my Lickitung, like a max PDF Lickitung, it would just two-shot after Hail and stuff like that. So I was afraid of Amora, especially even Scarf Amora, stuff like that, and then I just completely ignored Voltorb, which is why I wanted Voltorb on my team, because it's the fastest Pokemon in Little Cup, and it's an amazing electric type pivot with Volt Switch. So very unfortunate game where Voltorb was just able to clean up the match. Pretty unfortunate how the Rowlet wanted to get a bigger role near the end when I was trying to set up my Archon, but it happens. I tried to play it the best I could, but the fact I knew 5 out of his 6 Pokemon, I still struggled to break the team. That's kind of uncalled for. I mean, I did take a break from Pokemon and stuff like that, but like I'm back into it with PBL and stuff like that. And I definitely want to get a hold of LC and try to really appreciate the team because I really do like these Pokemon. But hopefully we pick it up next week in our Week 2 match versus Kyleaye in the Miami Phanphies. Like my boy, he also has a Little Cup based team, so that's really cool. Also, after this week, we no longer have Surskit and Weedle. Of course, we will have Skorupi and Binacle, like I went over in the draft analysis. We will officially have those on my team, so you might see those boyos from here on out. But that'll be it from me this week, guys. Of course, make sure to check out Emvee and everyone else in the league. Make sure to support everyone else you can, because Week 1 is the kickoff to this amazing season for APA Little Cup. So make sure to enjoy it. That'll be it from me this week, guys. Sub, like, share, deuces.